Hello, I'm Lynn Turner Fitzgerald with the Cold Cases of Yellowstone County, where we examine the unsolved murders dating back 20, 30, even 40 years. In this episode, we'll look at the case of Jeanette Charlie Atwater. Ms. Atwater, 34 years old, was the mother of 3 young children. Sometime in the early morning hours of January the 16th, 2000, her car was found in this area. The car was fully engulfed in flames. Jeanette Charlie Atwater's body was found in the trunk. Her killer has never been found.
The investigation indicates that she was at a holiday party or Christmas party with a bunch of her coworkers from the Napa store. And from there she ended up probably at the Eagle's Nest bar, and eventually ended up connecting up with some of her coworkers at the Players Club up in the Heights. She had been at the Players Club for quite some time. She'd actually danced with some people, or at least one person there, and eventually she left. We don't know exactly what time, but probably pretty close to the time the bar would close, or they would be asking people to leave.
Mm-hmm. So just before 2 a.m.
Probably right around there.
Okay.
Yes.
Did anyone see her leave the bar?
You know, I don't think that we've been able to find anybody that could actually say that they saw her leave or could give a good time when she did leave. So, yeah, you know, if there is anybody out there, we would certainly want to know about that.
You know, other press accounts say that the parking lot cleared out in a rather orderly fashion, and people just kind of went on their own way. So when was the next time Charlie Atwater was seen?
Well, approximately 2 hours later, or within 2 hours, they had the fire across from the Cenex store in the Heights. And when they got to the car and got the car opened up, they actually located Charlie's body in the trunk of that car after they'd gotten the fire out.
So firefighters popped the trunk knowing someone was in the car?
No, I don't think there was any reason to believe that they knew. They showed up to a fire, and if a car is fully engulfed, in a lot of cases they will pop something to make sure that there's not something still burning within. And for all we know, there might have been some kind of an indicator because of smoke coming from the trunk or something like that. They want to make sure that they get the fire completely out.
In that 2 hours between the time that Charlie was seen alive and found dead, is there any other suspicious activity?
Absolutely. There was, during the investigation, it was determined that a male subject had come into the Cenex store across from basically where the bar is and where the fire was, and had purchased $1 worth of gas. And he put it into a gas can, and while he was in the store, he also grabbed a book of matches. And he left with this, and that was probably about a half hour before the car was actually found burning up there. So from there, obviously, you know, detectives tried to determine who might have owned the car, the type of car that was parked there, and they used the video from the gas station to get some not very good quality, you know, photographs or video. And some of that is what you'll see out, actually went out to the media to try to determine if anybody knew who this person was.
Steve Lort serves as a pastor at the Emmanuel Baptist Church in Billings, but in 2000, Steve worked as a Yellowstone County Sheriff's deputy. On the morning of January the 16th, he and his partner responded to a car fire. They were the first on the scene. Back to the night of, well, the morning, I guess, of January 16th. Tell me what happened.
I was on patrol. I was training Deputy Korb, and we were patrolling in the Heights, and we received a call of a vehicle fire about 3:30 in the morning, and we just happened to be in the area when the call came in. We were there within seconds, and we saw the car parked, and it was fully engulfed in flames.
And that was about 3:30?
That was about 3:30, yeah.
Okay. And what happened after that?
I ran the license plate. I could still see the license plate, so I ran the license plate, found out who the registered owner was. We attempted to contact the registered owner. We were unable to find who that was or where she was at, and we waited for the fire department to arrive. They came, and put out the fire. Initially, when we rolled up on scene, we could see there was just one set of vehicle tracks in, and the vehicle parked there.
That was her vehicle?
That was her vehicle.
So you've got tracks of her vehicle driving into, it's kind of a gravel area, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, it was just a gravel parking lot where people come park to use the bike trail there.
Right.
Yeah, and then we saw a set of footprints from the driver's door back out to Bench Boulevard, just a single set of footprints. We waited for the fire department to arrive. They put out the fire and opened the trunk, and that's when we discovered a body in the trunk.
You did not expect that?
We didn't expect that, no.
As an officer on a scene like that, what goes through your mind?
Well, initially it's just, if we could have been there sooner, could we have, saved her? That kind of thing went through my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we were there within seconds, and the car was already fully engulfed, and we want to get to the bottom and find out who did it.
So all the doors were closed on the vehicle?
Yes, all the doors were closed.
Okay. And the footprints then from the driver's door onto Bench Boulevard ended there?
Yes.
Because you hit what, cement?
Hit pavement,
the pavement?
yeah. Yep.
All right. So from, let's say, shortly before 2, she leaves the Players Club until 3:30 when her body is discovered in the trunk of her car. What happened in that hour and a half?
That's something we really don't know. Don't know the answer to that.
What law enforcement officials do know is that shortly after 3 a.m., a man driving an 80s-style hatchback entered the Cenex station on Main Street in the Heights. He put $1's worth of gasoline into a gas can, paid with a handful of change, and grabbed a book of matches from the store's countertop. Approximately 20 minutes later, the vehicle owned by Jeanette Charlie Atwater was discovered burning just a few blocks away. After the fire department opened the trunk and you discovered her body, what steps were taken after that?
As soon as we realized that it was a more serious crime, I notified the captain of patrol and our lieutenant of detectives. We sealed off the area to ensure the crime scene was not any further contaminated, and we waited for detectives to come and process the scene.
Mm-hmm. So essentially after that, you are done with that case?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. What have I missed here?
I think it was the next night, Deputy Benjamin went to canvassed the convenience stores and found the surveillance video that we got. So we got video of the guy purchasing gas and getting a book of matches.
As a pastor, looking back at a case like Charlie Atwater, is it a different feeling than that of an officer?
Not for me, it's not. I mean, I still want justice for her and her family. That's being in law enforcement, that's what you want. You want justice for the people that are victims of crime. Mm-hmm. And as a pastor, I want the same thing. Here's a human being created in the image of God, and she deserves justice, and God demands justice be done. So that's what we're seeking here.
Greg Tuttle is a former reporter for the Billings Gazette. In 1999, he wrote an article looking back on the unsolved murder of Jeanette Charlie Atwater. you had an opportunity to interview Ron Wilson, who was one of the investigators in the Charlie Atwater case. What did he tell you?
Ron told me that initially this was a case they thought would be easy to solve. Because their victim, Charlie, had been seen out that night with many people, and they had a good list of witnesses to her whereabouts, that all that they would have to do is find the last person that she was with, and they would likely find her killer.
You interviewed Detective Wilson?
Lieutenant at the time,
Lieutenant
in
Wilson.
2009.
In 2009. So you interviewed him 9 years after the murder of Charlie Atwater, but he was still working the case. Was it bothering him?
I think all these cases bothered Ron. He was a good police officer, and he cared about all of these unsolved homicides, and he wanted all of them eventually to be closed cases instead of cold cases.
So did he come to you to say, let's revisit this, or was that at your request?
You know, honestly, I don't
Don't
recall how
remember.
that, yeah, I mean, I have had an interest in these cases also, and I think that over the course of our just working together, we mentioned which cases would be worth looking at a little bit deeper. It happened to be that the 10-year anniversary of Charlie's death was coming up, so we thought that would be the right time to do a story.
Did anything result from the story, Greg? Were there other tips called in?
I think there were, and I'm not sure if there was any solid leads established as a result, but I remember being told that they had received some information as a result of the story. By the time the homicide was discovered, a lot of damage had been done to any evidence through the fire. It was in the middle of the night, so they lost track of Charlie at the Players Inn, where she was last seen at closing time. And no one saw her leave, so they don't know what happened in the 90 minutes before closing time and when the fire was reported and her body found in the trunk of the car. They do have their primary suspect is this person, this man, whose image was captured on the Cenex gas station across the street from the Players Inn, buying a gallon of gas and taking a matchbook from the gas station. And those items, they believe to have been the same items, a 1-gallon gas can and a book of matches, are very suspicious and related to possibly the person who bought gas in the middle of the night at the Cenex after the bar closed, but before the fire was reported. That's where the trail ends. That is the person that their focus has seemed to be on through the years, is who is this man, and a description of this tan hatchback with some kind of dual-tone stripe on it. And beyond that, that's where the trail goes cold.
Did Detective Wilson believe that this was random, or did he believe this was a known person?
Well, and that's one of the biggest questions of the case, truly. There is a theory that the murderer was going through town, that it was someone, for whatever reason, picked Charlie at random, because she was, from all the information they received, very well liked and didn't have any enemies. She was a single mom with 3 young kids. She worked at Napa. She had friends there. Matter of fact, many of those friends were people she was out with that night. So she didn't have drug problems. She wasn't in any kind of financial problems. She was, for all intents and purposes, outside looking in, just a young lady getting through life as a single mom, and you know the struggles that come along with that. But nothing that he shared with me, Ron Wilson shared with me, pointed to a red flag as to there being any kind of reason for her murder.
One of the things I noticed in the article that you wrote was the clerk in the Cenex store was not really able to provide a description, but recalled a very strong odor of aftershave.
Correct, and those kind of eyewitness reports are tough to rely on, and really, what do you do with that information? I mean, it's interesting, and I think it needs to be considered, but does it really tell you anything? It's hard to know. We can all speculate about what that means. Maybe he was a cigar smoker. There are all kinds of reasons that people wear aftershave. 3 o'clock in the morning, who knows? Okay,
you're a reporter. You've been a reporter a long time. Do you think this killer will be found?
I don't know, I hope so. I think Charlie's family certainly deserves to know what happened and who did this. Any information that anybody has, even after all this time, certainly would help.
When we return with the cold cases of Yellowstone County, we'll learn more about Jeanette Charlie Atwater. Please stay with us.
This is Sheriff Mike Linder. Over the past year, the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit has received hundreds of tips and new information relating to the 9 unsolved homicides we are investigating. Thanks to your help, our detectives have made significant progress on many of these cases. If you have any information about these cases, we want to hear from you. The information you hold may be the final link that brings these killers to justice. Help us bring closure to the families and friends of these victims. Get involved and make a difference.
Hello, I'm Sherry Fenner. This is my daughter Miranda. She was murdered on November 15th, 1998 at the movie store in Laurel. Over the past year, detectives have made tremendous progress on her case. Help us put together the final pieces that will bring her killers to justice. In Miranda's memory, thank you for helping bring closure and peace to my family.
So who was Jeanette Charlie Atwater? She was born in Miles City, graduated from Dawson County High School in Glendive. She attended MSUB on a volleyball scholarship, but an injury ended her college career. She joined the Air Force briefly, but returned to family in Bellingham, Washington 3 months later. In Bellingham, she married Robert Aiken. They had 3 children before divorcing in 1995. In 1997, Charlie Atwater returned to Billings, where she died January the 16th, 2000.
You know, I don't think anybody could find anybody that had any issues with her. She seemed like a fun-loving young lady, and that she had a lot of friends, a lot of good co-workers, and I don't think that anybody found that she had any actual enemies or anybody that would want to do this, to intentionally do this.
As a law officer, how does that set with you?
Well, that tells me that this might have been a random act, maybe just somebody that had the opportunity ran into her, whether or not we have had somebody in the community that just decided this is something they were going to do, or just the opportunity presented itself. It's just hard to say.
Did the person on the surveillance video in the Senex station, was that person questioned?
We have not been able to locate that person yet. We have interviewed some people, and I believe that there are some that kind of match the description, and we've looked for people that had vehicles like that. Whether or not we have actually interviewed that actual person yet, it's hard to say. The photograph is not very clear, and it's hard to determine or to say for sure if that person is actually the one that's been interviewed.
Charlie was a mother. She had 3 children.
Right.
The father of the children, was he ever a suspect?
You know, he was spoken to, but I don't think he was ever considered a suspect.
Okay. Now, today, 13 years later,
Right.
Are you still getting information about Charlie Atwater?
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is probably one of the, well, it is the most recent case that we're looking at as a cold case, and it is very unusual, it's very unique in what happened. To be basically more or less kidnapped and put in the trunk of a car and then burn the car, it's just not something you would see around here. It's nothing that I've seen around here in my years of law enforcement. So, you know, we're going to continue to put information out there and ask for the people's help, you know, the public's help to try to come up with anything. I believe that there are people out there that have an idea of what happened or who might be involved.
Well, and I wanted to ask you again, Sheriff, as time goes on, circumstances change, and maybe people might feel that it's okay now to come forward with information.
You know, relationships change. People leave, people have a change of heart, you might say, too, and might find it important to go ahead and get this off their chest if it's something that they know about. And we would encourage it, and they can do it anonymously. We do have a cold case number online that they can call, and we'll post that. But any information that they give us, we would keep anonymous if that's what they prefer, and if somebody would like to have a detective actually come out and talk to them, we'll do it that way as well.
This is the final resting place for Jeanette Charlie Atwater, the cemetery in Forsyth, Montana. Her tombstone acknowledges the 3 children she left behind after she was murdered on January the 16th, 2000. If you have any information about her death or any of the cold cases in Yellowstone County, please contact the Cold Case Unit at 869-3530. All information received will remain confidential. With the cold cases of Yellowstone County, I'm Lynn Turner Fitzgerald. Thank you for watching.